support our business in the future. But first, we've learned of plans for the biggest offshore wind farm development in the world off our coast. We already have wind farms underway in the sea off Norfolk, Essex and Suffolk, but this new field will dwarf those developments. Despite the huge growth in the green energy industry, it's so far failed to provide significant numbers of local jobs. Now it's hoped that that is all about to change. Richard Daniel reports.
We've missed a big trick here, because if we had developed this, we could have been a major world leader.
It's fair to say that there are not enough turbines being built here in the UK.
And we're missing out on jobs and all sorts of other opportunities. It's a great shame.
The East Coast is forecast to become the biggest producer of wind energy in the country. By 2020, it's hoped it alone will produce sufficient electricity for more than 8 million households.
On a bleak autumn day, the North Sea is pretty inhospitable. But over the next decade or so, billions of pounds will be invested building huge wind farms off the East Anglian coast. The question is, how much of that money will find its way to local companies and local workers?
Construction of the Greater Gabbard wind farm is underway. It will be the world's largest. Off the Suffolk coast, total cost £1.3 billion. But in common with other wind farms, virtually all the infrastructure is being made abroad. The German company Siemens is manufacturing the turbines in Denmark, in a contract thought to be worth around £750 million. With no UK manufacturing base, most of the money is going abroad.
Now, as we come to this boom in wind power development, which is going on worldwide, we're missing out, because not only are we having to import, we're losing the opportunity where we could be exporting to other countries.
Dale Vince, former Norfolk boy and New Age traveller, is now managing director of Ecotricity. It was his company which built some of the region's earliest onshore turbines at Swaffham in Norfolk.
In Germany and Denmark, for example, they have lots of wind energy and they have lots of jobs in wind energy and manufacturing and stuff. And it's just a shame that we couldn't do the same over here. Got to lay it at the feet of the government for the kind of market that they created in wind energy 10, 15 years ago.
Yet this July, as Britain's only wind turbine factory shut, the Energy Secretary gave this pledge.
As well as supporting the demonstration and testing of offshore wind, the money will be used to attract offshore wind manufacturers to the UK. We estimate, Mr. Speaker, these investments will help nurture industries that can support hundreds of thousands of jobs in our country.
To say the boom in wind power isn't generating some local jobs would be wrong. JDR Cable Systems, based at Littleport in Cambridgeshire, makes undersea cables for the Greater Gabbard project. In just 3 years, it's doubled its workforce to 250 people. Brightlingsea in Essex has become the shore base for another wind farm. Diving teams and support vessels employ local people. And Seajacks, based in Great Yarmouth, have secured millions in investment to build this specialist vessel used in wind farm construction.
Well, there's transformers and there's utilities, pipework, 3 floors.
At SLP Engineering in Lowestoft, they've just won a £12 million project from Siemens to build an electricity substation for a wind farm.
Where we are now, I think we're poised on the brink of something that's quite exciting. But it's fair to say that there are not enough turbines being built here in the UK. I know people are looking at it. And there's not enough of the infrastructure being carried out in the UK. But again, people are looking at it.
Huge opportunities lie ahead. These are the wind farms off East Anglia already granted consent. They'll be dwarfed by the next licensing round. An area of nearly 6,000 square kilometres has been earmarked for up to 6,000 megawatts of generating capacity. That's 5 times the current output of Sizewell B nuclear power station.
But 6,000 megawatts just right off this coast in the Norfolk field gives you a size of the kind of difference. And we're talking massive, massive structures. Similar to the ones where we consider we have expertise, similar to the ones that we built for oil and gas, but just many, many times more.
The question now is, will that huge demand for turbines and infrastructure spawn a revival in engineering on the East Coast? Or will we, in 2020, be ruining it as another opportunity lost?
And industry insiders believe the government will formally announce those plans at the Climate Change Summit in Copenhagen in December. Well, I'm joined from Westminster by Peter Bone, Conservative MP for Wellingborough, and here with me in the studio, Tony Wright, who is, of course, Labour's MP for Great Yarmouth. Tony Wright, let's start with you. We'll talk through a few of the points made in the film. The government hasn't planned effectively enough to develop a manufacturing base in this country, and countries like Germany have really stolen the jobs from us, haven't they?
I think we have to look at two aspects here. One is the government's willingness to invest in the wind energy sector, which they did quite clearly for the Scrooby Sound development in other areas, but also trying to compete in terms of the whole production of energy per se across the whole of the UK. So what we've tried to do is to balance the two, and it is up to industry as well to play their part, and indeed we have opportunities here in Norfolk where the Eastern Wind Energy Group, a consortium, are actually pulling together a whole host of individual companies to develop and build and manufacture a British-made wind turbine.
But there could be so many more jobs created if proper investment had been made, surely.
But I think the investment is there. I think what we say is proper investment. I think the government has actually invested. We're investing in the skills that are necessary for this. This isn't a short-term scheme. This is going to be here for the long term. There's going to be billions of pounds of investment in wind energy. And when I look back to the oil and gas sector, we're in exactly the same position where the Americans had to come over to show us a technology, and we had to develop the skills around that. And it took some time. But quite clearly, I think we're well placed, certainly on the eastern region, to actually take advantage of that.
Let's bring Peter Bone in. Peter, the main reason onshore wind hasn't taken off in onshore wind, I'm talking about now, in the way that it could have done, according to experts like Dale Vince, is because of problems with planning permission currently controlled by district councils. Would a Conservative government change that? Do people need to be told that we need these farms rather than would you like them?
No, I think I disagree. I think it should be up to local communities to decide on whether they have a wind farm or not. I've got a very successful small wind farm just outside my constituency, but they're planning applications for 3 which are totally unsuitable. So I think it should be up to the community, and if the community wants them, they should have them, and it's up to the companies to make them attractive.
But surely the communities are always going to turn around and say, no, we don't want one, aren't they?
No, that's not the case at all. I've already said there's one just outside my constituency, but the thing is, if you offered communities 6 years of use of the rate money, for instance, or if you provide free electricity to the homes for a number of years, you might actually have competition between communities for these wind farms.
Tony Wright, it's said that in the investment required is another £300 million per year. That's not going to happen in the current economic climate, is it?
But it's got to happen. One, we've got to meet our targets in terms of renewable energy, and secondly, it will actually develop through the recession that we're going in at the moment, is to use the skills that we've already got here. As I said, there are already moves afoot within the eastern region, within Norfolk, to actually try to bridge that gap. It is looking at the long term, but certainly in the next 3-4 years, they're looking to create 250 jobs in trying to develop a British manufactured turbine, and then hopefully in the future it's going to be looking at hundreds of millions of pounds and certainly up to 4,000 jobs in the eastern region in this area.
I want to come back to you on targets in just a moment, but let me put the question to Peter Bone first. How will the Conservatives meet this current target, 15% of our energy from renewables by 2020? How are you going to do that?
Can I just say, I think Tony's rewriting history. We've had 12 years of Labour allowing manufacturing industry to decline. Unemployment in my constituency has doubled because manufacturing has gone down. If they only put a fraction of the support into manufacturing that they did into the banks, we wouldn't be in the mess we are today.
Rather than having a go at Labour, let's talk about your policies, please. What are you going to do to meet this target?
Well, what we believe as a party is that we should have a lot of, we should certainly have renewable energies as part of an overall mix. We should have a mix of energy supplies. But if you ask me personally, do I think wind farms should be onshore or offshore? I think the majority should be offshore.
All right, and Tony Wright, what is Labour going to do? At the moment, we're told December 2008, only 1.8% of energy is coming from renewables. We have to hit 15% at least.
We do, and you've heard that in the next few weeks there's going to be announced the phase 3 in terms of these projects. What we have to do is to ensure we have the facilities to build up to the requirements for these particular turbines. And yes, we will have to import. And the difficulty we have at the moment is that to put on order a wind turbine at this stage, it takes 3 years to actually get that order in place. So we have a shortage there. We have opportunities. I think we're in an ideal position to grab add those opportunities and create employment opportunity, but also to look at the question of the skills in the region, which we already have, as far as the energy technology is concerned.
All right.
And I'm confident that we can move ahead, create those opportunities and look forward to the future.
Right. Peter Bone, for the moment, thank you.